Good morning, everyone. I want to thank the chairpersons of the EBC for giving us this opportunity to be part of this wonderful meeting. So I'll be presenting a calcified left main case from India. So the patient was an 82-year-old male who presented to us last year with history of class 3 angina for a few months. He was a known case of CAD for last 20 years on medical follow-up, and he also had unstable angina for a week. He had negative biomarkers for myocardial infarction and had an ejection fraction of 40% with inferior akinesia and normal valves. On the diagnostic angiogram, we found a diffuse triple vessel disease with critical distal left main lesion. His coronary arteries were heavily calcified and there was long segment disease in the LAD and the circumflex. As we can appreciate in the cranial projection, the LAD was diffusely diseased, heavily calcified, and was also giving some collaterals to the right coronary artery, which was diffusely diseased with an occluded PDA. In the spider projection, we appreciate eccentric lesion of the circumflex, which had a tight ostial lesion and diffuse disease about 70 to 80% extending beyond 20 millimeters into the circumflex body. So the patient was calcified left main triple vessel disease and was discussed in the heart team meeting for the best treatment strategy. Considering his age, he was refused for CABG and was planned for PCI strategy. For PCI, first we needed to decide the best strategy for the distal left main. Here we thought it was a Medina 111 lesion with heavy calcification and long segment disease of the circumflex. So we decided to treat with an upfront 2-stent strategy for the left main. We decided to use a 7 French guiding catheter and insert a prophylactic IAPP from the left groin, as we did not have Impella at our institution, and to do the procedure under imaging guidance with rotablator upfront, considering long diffuse segment disease, which was heavily calcified in the LAD. So we used a 1.5 millimeter burr for the distal left main, which crossed successfully. And then we used the same 1.5 millimeter burr for the mid LAD, which crossed after some time, as there was some tortuosity in the mid LAD. So after successful rotablation, we protected the diagonal and we did the first IVUS run. On the IVUS, we had 3 points of interest: the distal, the proximal LAD, and the distal left main. So all around the LAD, we saw circumferential calcium, as we can see in point 1, with an MLD of 2 millimeter and some rota effects from 6 to 9 o'clock. The calcium appeared thick. At point 2 again, we had thick calcium, which was circumferential, and thick calcium from 12 to 6 o'clock. And in the distal left main, we had a calcified nodule from 11 to 1 o'clock with favorable wire bias. After the IVUS, we took a 2.5 millimeter NC balloon, which failed to dilate at 28 atmospheres. So we were left with a few options. One option was to use a 2 millimeter burr based on the IVUS findings and MLD of 2 millimeter. But we thought probably the risk of slow flow and no flow will be very high. And also the patient had an occluded right and a very advanced age. Second option could have been to use a cutting balloon at high pressure, which sometimes does not work, as the calcium appeared very thick on IVUS. IVL, we thought, is probably the best option, considering a 360-degree ring of calcium and knowing that IVL and rotablator can be very complementary. So we used a 3 millimeter IVL balloon for the mid to distal LAD and gave 40 pulses each, after which the balloon dilated successfully. Following which, we used a 3.5 millimeter IVL balloon for the proximal LAD, which also dilated successfully after 40 pulses. After this, we stented the proximal to mid LAD lesions with 2 overlapping drug-eluting stents, which expanded well. And then we turned our attention to distal left main. Distal left main, first we treated with a 3.5 millimeter IVL balloon, and we gave 30 pulses at this location. And then we used the 3 millimeter IVL balloon, which we had used for the distal LAD, to treat the ostium of the circumflex. During the second cycle of our IVL balloon at the ostium of the circumflex, the IVL balloon ruptured, as we can see on the left panel. And this caused a large hematoma in the left main and the circumflex. The cause of the balloon rupture could have been nodular calcium at this site, as we had not done rota in the ostium circumflex or balloon properties. We immediately stented the left main bifurcation with a minicus strategy and stented the circumflex with the 3 into 26 and left main to LAD with a 3.5 into 26 millimeter DES. We did a pot in the left main with a 5 millimeter balloon, and then we did a final kissing balloon with 3.5 and 3 millimeter NC balloons in the LAD and circumflex respectively. We got a good angiographic result, as we can see in this caudal projection. And we got a good angiographic result in the cranial projection with no occlusion of the diagonal. After this, we did an IVUS, which showed well-expanded stent in the distal LAD. Here we can see pre and post of the distal LAD, where we got an area of 9 millimeter square. And this is the pre and post IVUS of the distal left main at the site of the calcified nodule, where we got very good stent expansion, which is very circular and area of almost 16. We could not do IVUS, unfortunately, in the circumflex, as the patient had a distal wire perforation, which we had to balloon occlude. So in the final IVUS, all across the left main LAD, we got areas in addition of almost 9 millimeter squares and 16 millimeter squares in the left main. So these were the final pictures in the cranial and caudal projections. So in summary, we think that diffuse calcified lesions are always a big challenge, and it is our duty to do a safe procedure for our patient. Imaging is extremely beneficial in such cases to select the best device for plaque preparation and also to see the results of our plaque preparation. Imaging is also important to prevent complications. And we believe that rules of life are equal to rules of tools. So rules of life, like we all have our own weaknesses and we need to collaborate with other people to achieve more. Similarly, all the tools have their own weaknesses and strengths. So rotablator, IVL, cutting balloon, they all have their own strengths and weaknesses, and they can be combined in a synergistic manner to achieve better outcomes and safe procedure for our patient. And upfront use of IVL should probably be avoided without prior imaging to prevent complications and to use it more effectively. So the harder it is, the softer we must go. And I hope we meet Dr. Goran and Dr. Eve and the EBC members again. So thank you so much for allowing us to be part of this wonderful program. Thank you so much.